Señor presidente, señorías, comisaria, quisiera agradecer la invitación a participar en este debate sobre las repercusiones de la posible ampliación del glifosato en la Unión Europea para la salud de las personas, la biodiversidad y el Pacto Verde. Durante años, los expertos y los científicos han estado en desacuerdo con respecto a los potenciales efectos y riesgos asociados al uso del glifosato. Es un asunto complejo que obviamente reviste una importancia crucial para nuestra ciudadanía. En el caso de esta sustancia, como en el de cualquier otra sustancia autorizada para su uso en productos fitosanitarios en la Unión Europea, la ciudadanía quiere garantías de que el proceso subyacente es lo suficientemente sólido y está científicamente fundamentado. En julio de este año, tras un largo proceso de revisión interpares, la Autoridad Europea de Seguridad Alimentaria concluyó que el glifosato no se relaciona con ningún ámbito de preocupación crítico. La conclusión de la Autoridad Europea está basada en una exhaustiva evaluación del riesgo que tiene en cuenta miles de estudios llevados a cabo de conformidad con normas y procedimientos estrictos. A este respecto, quisiera recordar nuestro trabajo conjunto como colegisladores concluido en 2019 sobre el refuerzo de la independencia y transparencia de la labor de la Autoridad Europea de Seguridad Alimentaria, junto con la nueva normativa que entró en vigor en 2021. Por lo tanto, creo que es importante reconocer la labor de la autoridad en torno a este complicado asunto. Sobre la base de esta evaluación de la Autoridad Europea, la Comisión ha elaborado un proyecto de reglamento de ejecución en el que se propone la ampliación del periodo de aprobación del glifosato en la Unión por otros 10 años. La votación en el Comité de Vegetales, Animales, Alimentos y Piensos está prevista para el 13 de octubre. Evidentemente, continuará el trabajo de recopilación de datos sobre el uso del glifosato. Tenemos el convencimiento de que la Autoridad Europea, junto con los expertos de los Estados miembros, seguirá pendiente de los avances, se servirá de su rigor científico para tomar decisiones, manteniendo bajo un estrecho control todos los aspectos del glifosato, y reevaluará sus conclusiones si es necesario para garantizar la seguridad en materia de salud pública y medio ambiente. Dicho esto, todos somos conscientes de la necesidad de proseguir nuestro trabajo colectivo para limitar el uso de plaguicidas químicos y proporcionar a los agricultores y productores de alimentos alternativas válidas a los instrumentos de que disponen para garantizar que pueden seguir suministrando alimentos seguros, sanos y asequibles en cantidad suficiente a toda la ciudadanía europea. A este respecto, puedo afirmar que se espera que los trabajos sobre la propuesta de reglamento relativo al uso sostenible de los plaguicidas avancen a buen ritmo en el Consejo. Los Estados miembros han prestado mucha atención a las alternativas no químicas y han instado a la Comisión a acelerar su desarrollo y el procedimiento de aprobación. La Presidencia española tiene como objetivo alcanzar un acuerdo sobre la posición del Consejo sobre este reglamento antes de que termine el año. Antes de concluir, quería informar a la Cámara que lamento tener que abandonar la sesión en unos momentos, pero estaré atento, el Consejo estará atento a las intervenciones de sus señorías en este debate. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Liels paldies Navarro Rijos kungam, un tagad es vēlētos dot vārdu komisijas vārdā komisārai Kyriakides. Floor is yours, Commissioner.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary of State, honourable members. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to bring you up to date on the ongoing decision-making procedure for the renewal of approval for glyphosate. This is an issue that has been and is of great interest to people in the European Union and, of course, to our farmers. First of all, I want to start my short intervention by stating that, without any doubt, human health and protection of the environment are the highest priorities for this Commission. Glyphosate is the most studied pesticide in the world. As a result, the renewal process, which started in 2019, involved an evaluation of the highest volume of scientific information for any active substance, including not only studies carried out by the applicants themselves, but also a large number of studies available in the open scientific literature. This evaluation required a large amount of resources from the 4 rapporteur member states, namely France, Sweden, Hungary, and the Netherlands, from the European Chemicals Agency, ECHA, and from the European Food and Safety Authority, EFSA. I want to take this opportunity for thanking them for their immense efforts. As you may know, last year, after a process involving a public consultation and an expert hearing, the ECHA Risk Assessment Committee unanimously agreed that there is no evidence to classify glyphosate as a carcinogen. This comes to confirm an earlier assessment of 2017. The risk assessment delivered by the rapporteur member states was also subject to public consultation. This led to the submission of further evidence, also then considered by EFSA and all other member states during the peer review process. In its final conclusions on the risk assessment, EFSA concluded that there are no critical areas of concern that would preclude renewal of approval. This key outcome underpins the Commission's proposal to renew the approval. True, EFSA identified some data gaps and issues for which assessment could not only be finalized. However, this is the case with practically all EFSA conclusions for active substances. In their role as risk managers, the Commission and the Member States carefully assess the identified gaps and issues that have not been finalized, and they examine whether appropriate risk mitigation is available to ensure that human health and the environment are fully protected. Data gaps, therefore, do not mean that the approval cannot be renewed. For the renewal of approval of glyphosate, the Commission has proposed a number of conditions and restrictions. These are based on the results of the scientific assessment and take into account the fact that the responsibility for authorizing plant protection products lies firmly with the Member States in keeping with the subsidiarity principle. For example, our proposal requires that Member States look carefully at consumer exposure for succeeding crops. Similarly, it requires that Member States examine co-formulants, assess the need for protection of ground and surface water, any effects on small herbivores, and assess indirect effects on biodiversity. We also propose banning its use for desiccation. At the Standing Committee of the 22nd of September, many Member States welcomed the proposal. A few advocated further specific restrictions. However, the vast majority disagreed with this, noting in particular that there is no evidence in the scientific assessment that would require such further restrictions. And in any case, Member States will have the possibility to restrict the use of plant protection products, including glyphosate, at national or regional level if they consider this necessary in order to protect biodiversity. Honourable members, renewal approval can be granted for a maximum of 15 years. At the same time, scientific research into glyphosate is ongoing, with new information published regularly. On the other hand, we have now assessed the substance twice in a relatively short period, and each time coming to the same conclusion. Having weighed up these factors, the Commission considers that a 10-year renewal of approval is appropriate. Several Member States have asked and suggested for a 15-year renewal. The Commission has proposed renewal of approval for 10 years for the reasons I have already explained. Of course, I want to assure you that this does not mean we will stand idly should new evidence emerge. I want to be very clear that we have undertaken, and there will be, a permanent scrutiny. Whenever and whichever new evidence shows that the approval criteria are not met, we will take action immediately to amend and even withdraw the approval if this is warranted. I will conclude by emphasizing one important point. The rapporteur member states, the agencies and the Commission have acted with due diligence and in full compliance with the legislation and with complete transparency. I am fully aware that many of you are disappointed with the outcome of this assessment process. But as I have said many times at this podium and from the beginning of my mandate, we must follow science as confirmed by our independent agencies, which follow existing rules. If we're to have robust, independent and evidence-based systems, we must abide by their results. Thank you.
Paldies, komisārs kundze. Nākamais Eiropas Tautas partijas grupas vārdā.